Welcome everyone to Create, Share, Learn. I'm Erin Raithke and I am joined by my wonderful co-host Ben Isles. How you doing this fine Saturday morning, Ben?
Very good, Erin. Thank you for calling me wonderful, but I will take it. You're pretty nice yourself, and it's good to be here. It's always a lovely morning to get together and do the podcast.
It
Always
is. I myself am a little bit flat at the moment. Primarily at this moment in time because my kiddo was up not very well last night. So I apologize to anyone who watches the live stream and to my co-host Ben if I start blinking really slowly and you can actually see like the little loading circle in the middle of my forehead, because I am functioning on not a lot of sleep. So yes. If I have trouble finding my words, that's a bit of a clue as to why.
We can have a lo-fi podcast. It's good. I'm well rested for once, so it is a good. We'll just jag off each other. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. There's just sometimes where there's no amount of coffee in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yes, I think that we'll address the fact. Obviously, we just didn't quite make our first or second or whatever Saturday of the month again. I had an absolute shockers weekend last weekend. My little one had a dance thing that went very, very well. Nice. When little people, especially under a certain age, when little people get on stage, it's wildly entertaining because you seriously don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And how sideways it's going to go, especially when they're really little.
Yeah.
But if you know, there was a moment on stage where another little person got in my kiddo's face for whatever reason. Like, kids just decide to like get in other people's faces. And in my head, that scene from the movie, I think it's called The Change Up or The Switch Up, with Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds, flicked into my head, where the little, and then the girl flips her, and I was just like, oh no, because this girl got right in my kid's face, and I went, uh-oh.
Well,
my kid she kept her composure.
What a legend.
It was such a proud moment, because I was just like, it could, when that 50-50 split went, this could go either direction right now, and I'm way too far away to intervene.
You've done the training. You've just got to watch and hope.
Yeah, we have lots of conversations about feeling big feelings, but making kind choices. And she made the kindest choice. Super proud.
Credit to you. Credit to the
credit to her. Like, in the moment, I had nothing to do with it. She just used it till she had. So, round of applause there. Very, very, very good. Other than that, it was just like a trucker's day, because there was just like event after event after event, and things happening and visitors arriving. And so we postponed last week's episode because I said to Ben, I don't think I have the strength to do it.
Fine. We're not without blame either. The first weekend was my mother-in-law's 70th.
Awesome.
That was a big party. Cake and dinner and family in town and stuff. So doing it on that weekend would have been stretching it.
No.
And then the weekend after that was my birthday. So while you were dancing, I was getting old and waking up with yet another set of pains and listening to my body make new noises. I was like, oh, that's a new one. That's great.
Yeah. When you discover a new way that your knee clicks that it didn't click before, that's always fun. But I knew your birthday would be coming up because obviously memories and things have come up of like previous episodes, and around this time last year we talked about I welcomed you to your 40s.
Yes, so I've survived one whole year of my 40s. It's not been that bad, really, aside from just more noise. I think you just sum it up by more random noise.
Yeah. And suspiciously good at predicting the incoming weather. That's another element to it. It's always fun. But yeah, it's though age is certainly no barrier to doing certain things, because I would like to share a couple of the things that I have been up to this month in our segment, and it is called News.
Love it. News.
I have news. So I have, and like in a very, very timely fashion, every year for quite a few years now, I have been doing the push-up challenge.
You legend.
Organized, and I believe, deja vu, we talked about your birthday last year. I talked about doing the push-up challenge last year. Who says you can't recycle content? So
I'm planning
in a very in a very timely fashion, I had already signed up to do the push-up challenge. This year, as in previous years, I tried to rotate it around, because there are a few charities and organizations that, through the Push for Better organization, you can opt to for any fundraising to go to them. So some years I just send it straight to these guys, because they have an app where you log your push-ups. They provide resources and kits, and they're very, very worthwhile. I highly recommend that if you're not going to join this year, because obviously we're actually into the final week of it now, that you check it out and contemplate it, because it's this year the number is 3,307, and each day is a different number that represents a different kind of mental health fact. So if we go through and actually check out the app, like every day it gives you a mental health fact. So say, for instance, I'll open up my app right now on my little phone. And so I haven't done any of my reps today, but today's push-up fact is 208 push-up target for the 20.8 million Australian adults who are active on social media. So like yesterday's fact was 170. The day before that's target was 190, recognizing 1.9 million Australians living with a mental illness who sought support from a health professional. So they're like little conversation starters like that, where it feeds you little factoids about the idea. Like, say, for instance, Pride Month, on day 15, it was 160 push-up target for that day, for the 16% of LGBTQA plus young people who have reported that they have attempted suicide. So like some of the facts are interesting, some of the facts are like a lot more sobering, but it is definitely a worthwhile conversation starter to have, a worthwhile thing to do. And fun fact, not every single rep I do is push-ups, but I do work my way up to it. I do adjusted push-ups. I work in some squats there, because obviously I do need to be able to lift my arms. It's kind of helpful to be able to lift your arms, especially if your job is to be a typewriter all day. But I have noticed it every year I do it. Because of it gives you a number and then you have to add them to a counter. So that gives me a very clear, achievable goal that is set not by me, so I don't skive off as easily, which is wildly beneficial, because it's too easy where if you got your own goal, I'm going to do 100 reps today, and then if you're not accountable and the app doesn't go, you haven't reached your target today, so it's very, very, very helpful. So I've been moving my body, which is fantastic for mental health, and Lifeline Queensland obviously does a heck of a lot of stuff to help a heck of a lot of people, whether it's youth counselling, crisis counselling, resources, grief counselling. I have used them in the past and have accessed their resources. because sometimes stuff happens and it is horrendous and you just need someone to talk to. And so Lifeline are definitely an organisation that are well worth supporting.
That's it. Get on
I'll
it.
give
Good stuff.
I'll give you your turn, Ben, and then we'll have a bit of a quick chat about a little tidbit of AI news that has popped into the news cycle the last few days.
Well, I gotta. Where do I go? I'll share my screen, and yes, it's asking for me to do all the permissions again.
Yeah.
My gosh. Everything, we did it all last week. We'll share the audio. I don't think I need to, but anyway, hopefully that hasn't introduced any weird sounds at your end, and it seems to be happy days. Okay, so I've got two things. I want to show you some analog things, and I want to show you some browser things. It's been a month of things that I've gone, oh, that's cool. So we go in phases in our house of making zines, whatever you want to call them, little fold-up paper booklets, and we usually make them in an Express template, and and it's, you know, it's fine, it's cool, but it's a little bit of work, particularly if we just kind of want to slap it together. And then we're on the Googles and we found this really nice little website made by who made this? Photographer called Rick. He's in Mexico City, and it's this neat little utility where you've got your pages, you just drag your photos onto that. You've got some control, but not enough, not like heaps of control. So the kids never drown in choices.
Too many options makes it hard sometimes to get the job done.
And that's it, yeah. So there's just, you know, you can have two on a page, you can have some on a page, you can fit or fill, you know. You can have captions that are small. You've got a couple of fonts, not much. And we've just been making like a couple of these every weekend for the last couple of weekends. I mean, they'll go out of vogue again. And you can keep a couple going. So this one we kind of started, but we haven't got enough photos for yet. But we'll keep on it. So Dirty Little Zine, great little easy thing, runs on anything, iPad, whatever. It does your paper sizes here. You know, like sometimes you don't have to worry about it. You just say, oh, am I a US letter, A4 or A3. You hit print, it downloads. It gives you some instructions on how to fold it. It's a neat little doohickey. So that's doohickey number 1.
Nice.
Nice. Doohickey number 2 is, I think it was this week, our mates in Adobe dumped a lot of updates. So there's a bunch in Photoshop, which were exciting. A bit more, there's some AI stuff, there's some less AI stuff. Just a good kind of a mop-up update with some speed enhancements. Selection stuff got really, really exciting in terms of just being able to get a really, really neat selection. We had that in Photoshop, but we didn't have it in Camera Raw and Lightroom. That's been mopped up. That's awesome. Some really nice detail and noise reduction enhancements have come to Lightroom and Camera Raw that were kind of there, but not quite. It's just been a good old mop up. So by all means, if you've got them, it's time to get in there and update them. Lightroom got a really good pump of better image culling. So that's gotten a lot better. It was okay. It was pretty good. We played with it at Christmas and you're like, oh, well, that was helpful. Now it's really helpful. So it's really going in for eye sharpness, and it's much better at doing a bunch of things that way. And like I said, better sharpening to match the noise reduction we had. Now we can sharpen up again. We used to, that used to have to go to Photoshop to get the really good stuff. This I haven't played with yet, but just being able to easily round trip to turn your photos into videos, I think that'll be fun. We've done that in a previous episode. That was good, but it was a bit of work. So being able to just do that straight out of Lightroom is gonna mean I'm probably going to do it more.
Yeah.
Subject selections are way better. Organizing is way better. That's one of the things I still kind of hang on to Bridge. I get mocked for using Bridge. I'm like one of the 3 people in Australia that use Bridge. There's more than that. But because it can organize stuff really well, and it's just got some real nerd features that they just haven't put into Lightroom. Here they are.
Yeah.
That's good. And yeah, you know, long story short, get them updated, have some fun. There's really, really good stuff in there. And sorry, just one more sharent if I can.
Yeah.
I'll present another screen. I just want to. Oh, hang on. Look at me driving, Erin. I've become pretty good at this. Hey, get out. So I'll share my whole screen now. Is that coming up? Yeah, cool. So this is in Photoshop land. There's a couple of interesting things that have started to happen. One,
I'm just going to make that a bit bigger for us. There we go.
Yeah, thank you much. So if we update the Photoshop beta app, which everyone has access to, we can now, I think it's this button. Look at that. The Firefly AI assistant is starting to come into Photoshop. Yeah. Results are varying in terms of asking it to do edits and things for it. It does work. It doesn't work. It's kind of the hard part is everyone reviewing this is a Photoshop nerd anyway. So yeah, the human's already going to be faster than the robot. But where I saw some really interesting stuff happening with it was when people were just asking it to review composition, color tone, you know, that whole design conversation stuff. This was really good. Converting text to different languages and stuff like that. Fact checking. Paul Tranny did a video on getting it to fact check your designs, because that is something photographers are notoriously bad at. This guy, spelling, dates, all that kind of stuff.
We all make mistakes. We've all had publish _final v7 final, and then found like there are certain words that just have errors naturally creep into them. Like the word eligibility has too many I's in it, and I always miss out one because I type it so fast. It's terribly when you get like a piece of paper and you hold it up the screen, you're like, do I have all the I's?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not. How could this is a really low res photo, which is kind of the point. Prove this picture. I'll let that cook for a second. I think that'll cook there on the side, because the other thing I wanted to point out is that yes, there's even more AI in Photoshop, and we'll have mixed reactions to that. Yeah. But under the remove tool, which has been a fantastic addition to Photoshop, really, really nice thing, does have the option to turn generative AI off or on. Even with it off, this tool has always been fantastic. But with it on, it just helps a bit. But what's really cool is you can also get the device to do the processing if you've got a bit more RAM than I do. So currently my MacBook's about 5 years old. They shipped with 16 gig. They now ship with 24, which is the sweet spot for some of these new things. But if I had 24 gigs of RAM, I could download the model. I could take photo off into the desert. There's no cloud connection, and it's running locally, which is cool.
If you're in a situation where you just don't have stable internet access, as many locations don't. I was out and about this week, and I was needing to make some important phone calls, and my mobile phone bricked because I was a part of that outage on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, I can't use maps. I can't make a phone call. I can't do anything without the internet. And so I love the fact that you have the option to be able to offline some processing, because I guess I'm a little bit biased as well, because I was in the same boat as you, Ben, with
Yep.
RAM and system resources, and my hard drive was basically full, operationally full enough so that I couldn't copy and paste files from one location to another because the
Yeah.
very act of duplicating the files would max out what memory I had left. But I invested in a new computer and got the most RAM that I could possibly feasibly afford,
Yeah.
trying to future-proof my computer, because as you said, like the RAM that you have now, give your computer 3-4 years with the rapidity that these models and resources are changing, and what's entry level then would be like top spec when you bought your computer, and it's so hard to keep up, especially with the prices increasing. Like you're never gonna nail the timing. You're only gonna find out in hindsight that you nailed the timing for when you need to update your computer.
Yeah, I have to say this M1 MacBook has just been fantastic. This is the first feature in over 5 years of it. When I buy it, 2020, it's 2021 model, so coming up to this is the first feature that I've not been able to get on anything. So they've
and generally, I find the half-life on PCs is much shorter than that. Yeah, like you got 2 years, basically 2 years on a PC before you start to hit walls when it comes to memory and RAM for even a pretty good mid-range computer. So yeah, it is. It's interesting. I really appreciate that. It's good to be able to have the option to offline.
Well, and it's
good to have the option to turn off the AI stuff, because like no shade at people who are like, ew, no. I want to be the one that does all the work. I sit somewhere in the midpoint of that where I'm like, look, I know how to do this stuff, but the time that I can get some of these tools within these products to do some of that work for me, like especially, as in an earlier episode I demonstrated, keying and removing the background off of a video. Technically I can frame by frame that. I could, but I don't wanna.
Yeah, and that's kind of, it's just like, where's your middle, and how do you want to improve that middle? So I spent yesterday afternoon making voiceovers and and that was AI use. Let's be honest, I spent 3 hours using AI, having a lovely time. But it was
and whereas that's a hard line for me. I will if someone presents me with a product that has an AI voiceover in it for work stuff, because I can at the moment,
you can always
at
tell.
the moment I can immediately tell. And I'm
can always tell.
In the time that it's taking me to review this and all of the mispronunciations, because it doesn't understand how to pronounce Australian stuff and it's not an Australian accent, you could have just asked me to do the voiceover.
Yes. Yeah. No,
because I have that skill and that confidence to do that.
Yeah. I would say to that though, what would I say to that? It was a convenience thing. I had our kids home sick. It already started with AI voices. Sometimes you just find pockets of people that want it, and you have to do it for them.
I have found that as well, where they just they like the tone, they like the delivery, they like because one of the pieces of feedback I do sometimes receive is that your voiceover is too animated.
Yes,
you need to take it down, and I'm like, yes, but you sort of go, okay, so and so with an AI, you can ask it to change the tone and change the pitch and whatever, and it processes and it just provides it to you. So there is a convenience element there, but that's my personal line in the sand where I'm just like, no, I'll just re-record it. Fine.
That's everyone's got the personal thing. I do like doing my voiceovers, but at the same time, it sounds like everyone knows it's my voice. So and sometimes I don't want to go into the cupboard and put a blanket over my head to do it.
And I've slowly rebuilt my pretty sweet setup here, where I have my partitions and I have my blanket when I'm doing proper voiceover. I have my little felty behind the microphone muffler that cuts down on any fan noise coming out of my computer. I have my sweet setup, and I also know my Adobe Audition, and I know how to do that remove noise denoise
Yeah.
tool and take audio samples and do all sort of thing, but not everyone has that skill set. And sometimes they may come to you, Ben, and say, I want a female voice. And conversely,
Yeah.
someone will come to me and they won't go, but we want a male voice for this. And you
Well,
kind of
that
go, well,
the
I could put on a voice.
the
but-
diversity element is one of those things. Like if we're doing 20 voiceovers, we need them to all sound different for a variety of reasons. And I'm not gonna, I can't do it. I'm not a voice actor. Now on the voices, I was pleasantly surprised. You might want to have a play in. I actually gave the Firefly ones a go. I've used a mixture of stuff in the past. We have access to 11 labs. I don't know about me. I've got a guy I work with. He's fantastic with 11 labs. He's like, is that? And he can just get it. Every time I do it, it sounds like I'm just talking to C3PO.
I'm getting so much targeted advertising for 11 labs.
I know.
so much. And I'm just like, no. Like,
so I
all
tried,
due respect, no.
So, and I know it's built into Firefly where I've got that level of access on my work account. But I went into the Firefly ones, and sometimes with the Firefly, like it's commercially safe, but there's often a but. I didn't find any buts with the voice. I found it really good. You could change the inflection. You could set the limits of the pauses. There's a huge variety. They didn't have that kind of, like that break apart noise they make on the edges. It just didn't have that kind of crystal shattering kind of vibe. For what it's worth, it got me through the day. And
that's the thing, like some of us are in a very fortunate situation where we are in a comfy little zone where we're comfy to do our own stuff. But then, say for instance, if someone would say to me, okay, I need the voiceover in Spanish now.
Yeah. That's less comfortable.
Yeah, and like give me a phonetic script and I'll have a crack at it, but I'll probably still get stuff wrong. Because I do have like a little bit of multiple languages, but I certainly am nowhere near as fluent in anything as I am in English. And on some days, not even English. So there's lots of applications, especially from the accessibility point of view. Like I'm a big fan of these kinds of voice generation tools from an accessibility thing, because when you do get very comfortable in your own comfort zone. With your own skill sets, with your own privilege. So I try not to like holistically bag stuff, because I'm like, but some people really have a use for that. Just because you don't need a ramp or a rail or something to create a voice for you to be able to articulate what you want to explain, what you have in your head to be able to get it out, doesn't mean other people don't need it. So
no, that's it. You choose your poison, choose your thing. Yeah, that's all it is, I think.
Yeah, pick your preference and make your way. But definitely, perfection and rigidity is the absolute enemy of progress.
Yes,
and progress looks different for different people. So.
All right, well that's I'm good for news. I think that was. I had fun. I hope everyone else did.
I was going to mention the ban in the international distribution ban on Anthropic's models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5. But it is very much sort of like a bit of a developing story as to someone says you can't have this because it's vulnerable to stuff, and then the company's going specifics and it's not forthcoming, and it's all a bit dramatic. I think the most interesting thing about distribution and access to AI models as they become available, especially if they have features that can go above and beyond and perform things in a paradigm shattering way, is the very fact that new technology can be quite powerful, and obviously I'm a big proponent of you shouldn't release technology just for the sake of releasing technology. There should always be checks and balances. I don't know if only banning it for people that are not on the domestic US side of things is actually a control for in that sort of sense. I do also really quite enjoy sort of following along with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Does some really
He's a
interesting
nice guy.
think pieces about the use of AI, especially a lot of his scope, and maybe it's just what comes across on my feed as well, but he does a lot of public speaking on his social media. I definitely recommend checking it out if it's something that you're sort of interested in learning more about, but sort of don't know where to start. He does public addresses. He puts a lot of stuff onto his social media where he talks about, and I think it's his handle is like Hit Record Joe. Where he discusses, especially in relation to children, because he is also a parent of children, and so a lot of the controls and sort of necessary considerations that he discusses in relation to not just any particular company but AI in general and its usage and application is all about trying to preload, having those thoughtful controls put in place for everyone's protection, for the protection of not just mankind but future mankind, thinking about how these things could be used and not controlling them for the sake of controlling them, but controlling them in a thoughtful, forward-focused way, which I really appreciate. So definitely check that out if you have time and capacity. Now, Ben, my friend, we are 31 minutes in. So
good time.
I would love for you to share anything you've found this month that is
neat. That's neat. That's really neat. I like that. I want that. All right. So you want me to go first?
Yes, please do.
All right. So I've got a couple of things, and I'm going to see if I can get my. We might need to make some jazz here, Aaron, but I think if I push that button, it's going to turn my picture into.
Ooh, fancy clip, man.
Yeah, I'm breaking the wall. I'm going to show you some stuff. But so if I go, and then if I press that button, that makes you big. Maybe I want to press this.
Okay. Why don't you let me at this stage? I will remove.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll get us there. Perfect. Can you hear me, Aaron? You all good?
Indeed, I can.
Oh, good. Okay, so a couple of things I want to show you is... look at this little thing. This was... move it that way. It's even coming down the spout, right? This was a gift from Laura that was a Kickstarter from like a year and a half ago or something. And it's finally arrived. And it's this cute little camera that if I can turn it on... this little button here. Come on. There you go. Pixless, loading the card. And then, it's got that real gangly refresh rate there. But what it does is it'll take, and I'll show you some photos in a minute. Let me see if I'll just take a picture of the box, for example. Oh, this is tricky. I can't get hang on. There we go. Too many screens to try and line up. All right, there's a photo, and there's another photo. And basically what it does is, if you remember the Game Boy camera, it's kind of like that, but just in a little box here. So that's enough for that one. We'll pop that there to thing. And then
Game Boy camera, that is a throwback. That was so
for the kids
fancy.
Listening. Yeah. There was a console called a Game Boy, and you used to put cartridges in it. And if you were really lucky, one Christmas, Santa might bring you a cartridge that had a camera on top of it, and you could put that in.
And it would, and if you were really, really super lucky, you could print them as well.
Oh, that's right. There was a printer.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone personally that had printer privilege.
Royal family, kind of.
I think there was like a friend of my cousin that had the Game Boy camera. Because I had a Game Boy that I bought in my early 20s secondhand, and it was from EB, and it was the clear one. It was what I'd always wanted. Oh, it was so special, and it is lost to time, unfortunately.
Well,
I'm not. I think I know what happened to it, but I will not go into details to protect the innocent and the guilty.
well, that's fair, isn't it? Mistakes happen. Um, I've got one of the ones they came out with. I think it was prior to that, and it was still the big chunky boy, but it was a coloured one. So mine was like a real dark teal, still black and white screen, and then probably 10 years ago, the glue let go around the screen, so it nearly fell out, but we've managed to gaff tape it back in. And still playable, but good times. So anyway, here's some photos out of it. So what it does, it'll take a photo like it does a couple of things. So if you throw it makes its own hotspot, so you can get the photos off it by you can download off the memory card, but you can also tether it to your phone and computer, which is mad. Like I said, it's very 8-bit. So if you have a look at this, you connect it to a Wi-Fi network, go in through the browser, and then it lets you set up color palettes and a dithering style and how many dithers. Hey, little dither. And I haven't played around with this stuff yet, but you can then tweak your color settings a little bit. I've just darkened things off a little bit. And you can save a raw file, which is a tiny, tiny little 0.3. Is it 0.3? Yeah, 0.03 of a megapixel image. And then
for a raw file, that is an infinitesimally tiny file.
That is like the thumbnails. Like if you imagined, it's something like you average about 150 kilobytes per shot or something like that, which is just like, it's nothing these days. But yeah, so you grab your photos and you pull them off like this, and you get shots that like this is not a joke. That is actually full size image. That's how big it is. Postage size stamp, teeny tiny. But once you get going with it and it cooks them out, it obviously what's the word? Interpolates them. I think that's bigger, or is that when it goes smaller? Anyway, it by a regular pattern makes it bigger, and you get shots that kind of look like this. How fun!
That is so cool.
I know.
Oh, that is...
Well, I find it cool.
That is so cool. No, and that actually is a really interesting segue to something that I have been doing in the last month, where I, with some degree of horror, realized that it's been a really long time since I had plugged any of my SD cards or USB sticks or something into a computer to give them a bit of a juice.
Yeah.
Because fun fact, SD cards and USB sticks have something called solid state memory. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, when you plug them in, they don't make a windy up, runny helicopter sound.
Yes.
So because of that, they store information by basically having electrons sitting in a certain order, like big just go into some light physics for a second. So if they don't have power running into them after a certain amount of time, those electrons will just slowly start to flick away. And what that means then is that the next time that you plug that SD card in to a device, those electrons aren't where they're supposed to be, so that the file won't actually line up anymore. It's corrupt. It's dead. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, you can plug in an old USB stick and it just goes meh, because either something's rusted inside, is the other thing, got a bit of moisture damage or whatever, or it's been so long since you had it plugged in that whatever precious thing it was that you felt the need to put onto that device is now lost to time. So I spent many hours just going through my SD card folders and going through boxes and finding every SD card I could to plug her in and see if I had any losses.
Power them up.
And I actually even found some pictures from 2001 that were taken on a little camera with a slightly better resolution than this, but not by much.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
me
yeah.
in high school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my senior year of high school, 2001. And yeah, like
Wild.
lost to time. I'd forgotten that those photos even existed, but I remember the
Yeah.
camera that my mum borrowed that had a 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/2.
Floppy
Oh
disk?
my god! Anyway, the
Yeah.
little floppy disks that you could come that were that
Yeah,
you could buy the
man.
crystal
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. So yeah, just
Beautiful.
plug in your stuff, have a play, go back
Plug
through,
in your
pull
stuff.
out your SD cards. It doesn't matter if they're low resolution because like low resolution is also cool. Like it's a moment in time.
Yeah. Well, we've been playing around with these, and you can get this blocky kind of look out of it. I think that's this to do with the dithering and how much dither, or how many.
Kind of gives me a bit of Doom vibes as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's like, because you've only got 8 colors in the palette, that's actually a shot of the live view, so you can tether it to your phone and shoot this way. But say for example, there was one I had here where we lucked out. Like, it was the can of cola. There we go. So we had that red and we had that warm orange evening light, and it's kind of those colors have started to really hook up. Obviously this teddy bear is that orange kind of teddy bear color, and that's kind of going really hard. So interesting kind of color theory application. Oh, there's my grandma. Color theory applications there. Yeah, I've just been really impressed by this little thing that has so little going on with it, but it has quite a bit going on with it.
Yeah, it's visually so interesting. And yeah, maybe it's because I'm an 80s kid, but I see that and I think like the RoboCop POV camera when he's like rolling around, where they put those filters over the top of it, and it's that perspective shift where it actually makes you look at the photo differently.
That's it. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out and buy this Kickstarter to do that. I think they're in production though. If you want, we can send you the link. I've been Photoshop. Obviously, look, the AI guy mentioned there's a couple of things wrong with this photo, just to prove that worked from the previous segment. But I've been playing around in the filter menu, this new-ish section here called parametric filters. I'm going to go there for a bit, but don't forget, there's plenty of old stuff here in terms of noise, pixelating, all of this kind of stuff still lives in the filter menu. But this stuff is kind of really new, and it's allowed me to have quite a lot of fun lately. So something, if we were to grab something like, let's go hologram. Ooh, yeah. Kind of fun. We can play with the density of the lines. We could have less distort, blur, tint the color. I like this. So if we bring our color picker up, hopefully that's all translating. Yeah, fun. Just some fun stuff there in Photoshop where you can just make some cool effects. Yeah, pretty cool. And if it's too much, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you can chuck something into a chat bot and say, make this look Blade Runner-y, and you can. But what I like about this is we've still got our layer mask, we've still got our opacity, so we can kind of blend it in and out. It's the best of both worlds. You get your analog, digital painting side of it, plus the cool sci-fi element of it too, in the parametric filters in Photoshop. Or if you want, you can go out and look for a whole bunch of these sort of like lo-fi cameras that are popping up. This one was a Kickstarter online thing. But if you go to any camera store, you're going to start to see all of these. There's a whole movement of these cameras coming in. You spend anywhere from $50 to $100 to shoot really, really bad images from a technical point of view, but it couldn't be more fun. And I know because my kids have got access to a whole bunch of cameras, old cameras, that I say, yeah, go play. They always go for the ratty lo-fi stuff as opposed to the high fidelity stuff. Anyway.
Yeah,
It
it's
probably
interesting,
makes
isn't it?
sense.
Because
Yeah.
I know as millennials, we are highly vulnerable to the nostalgia engine that is corporate
Yes.
marketing targeted at us, like sort of recapturing the vibe of our youth.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but that plays into that well. But just because it's a nostalgia engine doesn't mean it isn't also so cool. Like there is a reason that the Blade
Mhm.
Runner aesthetic and the Jim Cameron Alien Terminators are distant future but with extremely low tech works so well because
Yeah.
there's an authenticity to it that
Yep.
I think you kind of your brain is drawn to, whereas everything when it's super shiny and super polished, it kind of makes it
Mm,
less real, less authentic, less
that's it.
tactile. It gives the
That's it.
visuals a tactile element, which I love.
But that's not going away because it's your time for your share. But if you read up on George Lucas and Star Wars, that's kind of what popped him out of because obviously Star Trek was older, way more established, had way more lore. But the fact that George made it dirty, used, grimy, broken space, and then Blade Runner came out of that whole thing that it's a used environment that's run down. It always sells it. Even Pacific
Yeah, all
Rim,
the cyberpunk and the steampunk
yeah,
and like just there's an aesthetic quality to it that's very pleasant to see and enjoy
yeah,
and experience. It makes it seem more grounded, I think, which is
absolutely.
always
Anyway,
nice. Now,
thank you, Aaron.
oh no, that's a very cool chat. I think that is genuinely very neat. So thank you so much for your share,
Neat.
Ben.
Thanks, mate.
Now, like one of the things that I was thinking about doing today was actually more in the range of a quick make it yourself template for sharing
Love it.
some things and sort of like showing, I guess, the clear differentiation between certain like types of things that you can make, and of course going over to Adobe Express for us is very easy because it's browser based. We do actually happen to have licensing for it, so we have like some access to some of the cool elements like the Adobe Stock Access and everything that's incorporated into that. And also, in my exploration of old SD cards, I did dig up a bunch of my old underwater photography photos. So
Oh, wow.
I've been toying with the idea because earlier this month was World Ocean Day. Before that, there's like this June is just a packed day when it comes to, sort of Pride Month and mental health awareness and also oceans and coral awareness and lots of things. And I used to spend an incredible amount of my workday and nights underwater. So I have all of these cool photos and footage and things that I was going, I should really do something with these because they're just kind of languishing on an SD card, and that is sad. That is a sad state of affairs.
That's it. Use your photos. Use your photos, kids.
Use your photos. Find an application for them. I mean, what I have been doing lately is to increase, build on some actual practical skills. I have been going and getting pictures printed to actually do physical scrapbooks because again, like your SD card corrupts, all the pictures that are on it are gone. Just maybe you have a couple of them that you uploaded to insert social media thing here, but they're just gone. So why not make something off of it that maybe sits in a cloud? Obviously projects that sit in a cloud don't last forever, but make something, download it as an MP4, download it, get it printed up, make a photo collage for your wall and put it on a canvas if you have that opportunity. But one of the things I'm going to do is just have a bit of a show of presentations in Express and how you can sort of make a really, really quick template to showcase some pictures. Now, I reached that by just opening up the suggestions over on this plus symbol and picking presentation because it's something they've fairly recently incorporated in there, so it's pretty easy to find. If in the future you're watching this and you can't find that, you can actually just go to the search and type in the word present and it'll come up there. There's now 2 options. One is just build a presentation from scratch. Another one is generate a presentation, which I actually demonstrated for the Adobe Education Institute late last month. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a presentation from scratch because they're pretty easy to do. And interestingly, at least at the moment, in this particular software in Adobe Express, the controls that you have in a presentation are different to the controls you have if you're building a video project, even though the canvas looks pretty similar when you first open up a blank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of content. I'm going to add some elements. I'm going to add some basic shapes or icons. So I just like go over to the add content, go, what do I want to add? I want to add a shape. There's the shape word. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to type in the word circle. Except maybe spelling it right is helpful, right?
It's fine. It's Saturday morning, mate. There's no rules. It's fine.
Yeah, chucking that in. And you can see there it actually has some shapes which have different behavioral rules in this stuff to if I was to go for like an icon that also happens to be a circle, right? So there's a circle shape and there is a circle icon. Now you can see here, if I clickety-boo on that, I can adjust the size of both of them, but this is a fixed object. There is very little in the way of anything that I can edit about this. I can change its size. I can edit its color, either using a brand that I've already pre-baked, using the default colors or using the custom color picker where I can determine the color and also the opacity, right? Yep. So I can kind of put it into that kind of zone. I can also use the eyedropper tool and pick a color from anywhere. So if I had a little palette, if I had a little image on another screen even, it will pull that eyedropper tool across. So I could pick the purple from the background of this broadcast, or I can manually use that color picker and just pull it across and make it a little bit faded out, right? But that is pretty much the limit of what I can do.
Yeah.
Right? I can flip it if I want the little bumpy bit on one side or the other, flip it. And I can change that opacity even further. If I just want to have like a solid color set, I pull that up there. But that's about all I can do to it.
That's it. We can't put for instance, an edge on it or any of that kind of stuff.
No.
Yep.
Whereas when it's a shape as opposed to an icon, look at this. I can change the pattern of the line on the outside of the shape. I can choose from bubble and floral and neon, where it actually gives it like a soft feathered edge. Newsprint, random dots, triple line. Like there's like, and it's like simple one-click options, right? I can also differentiate the color of the border between the interior, the guts of it. So say, for instance, if I was going, you know what, I'm going to create a little presentation that I'm then going to pull into a video. I am going to use the color picker to match that up. I am going to make it so that actually has no fill in it because I just want that external border, and I'm going to layer these guys and have them sitting like that. You can really start to like take advantage of the different kinds of things you can do to it. But one thing that both of them have in common is the animations. Now, the big difference that I want to highlight, the reason I picked presentation rather than making a video project in Adobe Express is the animations at the moment are the main way that the two different selections deviate the most wildly in this particular stuff. So like right here, I've got something selected to apply an animation to it. And when I click that animation one, it actually gives me the option, just like in, insert Microsoft's flagship product here. You can add the animation in and choose when it's going to trigger based on when you click rather than a predetermined timing.
Yeah.
So like you can pick the mixer and you can pick the kind of transition that's going to go. I'm a big fan of the grow transition. I find that's pretty cool. So if I want to add an animation for that as well, and I go grow for that as well, and I can hit delay start, I can even pick a personality for my transition. So if I want to play them together, then what I can do, I'm going to hit that preview button, click, little bit of a delay, and click, and it kind of like allows you to have that little bit of control. You can make this way more complicated than it needs to be, right? Way more complicated. But the other thing that you can do is you can just pretty easily go in and remove stuff out of that project, right? And modify the way it displays, the way it behaves. You can duplicate things. Whoop, nope. Using Windows shortcuts for... There we go. There we go. Thou must not use Windows shortcuts for Mac. It does not play nice. So I've got that one, and then what I'll do there is I'll just duplicate that, maybe pull a little bit of a gradient in. Oh, isn't that looking pretty? Pull it down. There we go. And so it's still got that little dotty thing. It's still unifying that appearance, but it's giving it just that little bit more of a differentiation, right? And then if I go into the animations, there we go. I can then just remove them if I find that I'm just getting too deep into the weeds, right? The other thing that I can do, and I'll just off-center that because, like, generally speaking, if you're going to be doing a little bit of a visual video, you might be going through and adding a little bit of text, maybe a few facts, heaven forbid, maybe even a few references to let people know where you actually found your information, so you can show your notes and prove that you're not just accepting whatever Google randomly spits out as an AI generated response without necessarily giving you the priority of the links that those responses came from, which is another new development in news this month that I have some mixed feelings about. So I've got that right. And I'm just going to delete that one because I want to duplicate this whole one. And I'm going to pull all of that stuff over there. And then I'm going to add a little transition in. And I want it to... So yeah, you have the wipe, you have the dissolve, you have the slide. So if I reorder these now, then I can go through and have a bit of a play, because once you start lining stuff up, then you can actually kind of make it so that if you get half of that on one page and half of that on another, it will kind of line it up to make it look like the circle's actually traveling all the way across the screen. And there's different ways that you can go about this, but that's not the only thing I want to show you. That requires a little bit of fiddling, a little bit of play, a lot of like really conscientious, like using those guidelines to line stuff up to get that transition looking schmick. Because then I've got my horizontal and my vertical, they're both the same size. So they start looking just that little bit schmicko, right? Except it is then obviously pulling it across there. So the other thing that I did want to do is I'll just duplicate that again, except I'm still using my PC shortcuts. Come on, Aaron, you can do this.
You're right, Aaron. What is it? Command J. Is that what you're wanting?
Oh, mate. I hit the control button rather than the command button because that's where it is on a PC keyboard.
But what is the keyboard shortcut for duplicate in Express? Because I think it catches me out too, because it's different to Photoshop. I think. Yeah. Or is it the same?
No, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. It's all hard while you're still learning, right? So the other thing that I do sort of love is the fact that when I went back and started looking at some of my older photos, There were a couple where I really felt like I nailed my lighting.
Fair.
Because
That's cool, isn't it?
that is a frogfish. They fit firmly into the category of so ugly that they're beautiful.
Mhm.
So basically their whole job is, their whole goal in life is to look like a sponge, a piece of a sponge, which is another kind of critter that grows in the ocean. So everyone just leaves them the heck alone. And I don't know about you, but nothing about that face says, yes, please come over and take my picture. That is a face of leave me the heck alone.
Yeah. I'm
Which
tired.
I clearly didn't do. But they are fun to go find. And like, you've got your opportunities to find these guys, right?
Oh, wow.
And they
such
basically
a human
just sit
face.
there.
Yeah.
And they're so grumpy. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was this particular dive. It was nice shallow water. I had my strobe, I had my settings dialed in, and I nailed it. So proud of these photos. Looking at them like now, because these are 13-year-old photos.
Good photos.
There's
a
a
good
little-
photo, eh?
Yeah, but like they're pretty cool, right? So the quality has held up fairly well given the fact that this is a 13, 14-year-old photo. So I take all of these little assets that I've made, use those guides, chuck them into something, doesn't really matter what, can be Express, can be whatever, and have a bit of a play. Go in and let me edit that photo for a second. I'm going to then give it some corner roundness to start matching up that lovely color. I've even got this beautiful sea fan from that same dive. You can see how beautiful, absolutely dead set gorgeous this fan coral is that's sitting there in the background. That's got all of like the fish, like a thriving, alive, living, pre-multiple bleaching events thing. And I can pull those things through and use those layers, even drop the opacity of that to make it more of a background, and just have a bit of a play and make use of these amazing things that I've created. Because like, if you look at that, even if I move that around a little bit, that blue actually brings out the detail in a different way. Yep. So yeah, moral of my story is I've got all this stuff and I feel quite inspired to try to make some educational content with it. Because there's a lot of cool stuff that you can learn about and share and get information about from old photos where you actually, I think you'll start to lose track of how much stuff you've learned about over your life until you start looking through old photos and you go, oh my God, actually, no, I know some essential facts about that. And I also have the skills to actually seek out and verify facts that I'm not too sure about, and then make a something that actually then credits all of that knowledge and all of that work. So yeah, there's my little frogfish buddy. He's probably not around anymore. I'm not sure. Actually, that's a fact that I can research. What is the lifespan of a frogfish if it is unaccosted in the wild?
I just love the face on it. It's just,
the faces.
Everyone has that face.
Oh,
we know exactly what or what they're feeling right there.
Yeah. I think we've all felt that. I think I definitely felt that this morning. Prior to the
podcast day
coffee,
and then we got excited.
Where I was just like, I have to put sentences together in an hour. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh! So yeah, you can have a bit of play, and you can fiddle for hours, but that is definitely something that I can have a bit of a play with later, because there is a lot of adjustments that I can make in here. Obviously the gold standard would be something like Photoshop or Lightroom, where I actually get down to the nitty-gritty, but I was also looking at my underwater modeling photos that were taken of me in the same era, where I did all of the original edits of those raw files were done using Photoshop elements that came preloaded onto my PC from back then. And I haven't touched those photos since, and I'm so interested now because this was pre-AI. This was pre lots of YouTube tutorials showing you how to do things, but I just muddled through and figured it out. And I'm really interested to see, once I dig up those raw and find which hard drive, which of my hard drives those files are on, to go back and revisit those photos and re-edit them. And it's like, because I spent a huge amount of time cleaning them up, getting rid of all the particulates and stuff in the water and trying to color balance them. And it'll be very interesting to me to see how those come out using modern tools in the modern day.
Agreed.
So yeah, get amongst it. Look at your old photos. Get them printed. Have a play. I think that's a good moral of the story to walk away with from today.
Well said, Erin. Nice piece of art on the screen and a very lovely sentiment. What a good way to wind up.
Yeah, so I think we can leave it there, get back onto our weekend. I definitely heard the pitter-patter of little feet arriving home not too long ago. So I'm going to go and have a chat with a tiny human and see what their morning was like so far. And we'll leave you all there. Thank you so much for joining me, Ben. I appreciate you as always.
You too, buddy.
And could be less than a month before our next episode. We could try to split the difference.
We'll catch up. It'll be good.
We'll catch up at some point in July. To be determined.
We'll have a July episode, we promise.
There will be some form of episode in July, yes. Yeah. So, everyone take care of yourselves and each other, and have a brilliant month of creativity. And as always, reach out to us on the various platforms if there's anything that you saw during this episode that you would like us to talk about more, show off more, expand on more, because we would love to have you join us in our mission to create, share, and learn. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
We respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders past, present and emerging. First Nations sovereignty was never ceded. I acknowledge the stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on this land and the lands in Australia that we reach, and commit to building a brighter future together.